Narendra Modi's electoral promise was 24/7 electricity for all, and on 27th May 2014, he handed over this tall task to Piyush Goyal. Modi effectively combined coal, power and renewable energy ministries under one portfolio to increase efficiency. The mandate to Goyal was crystal clear: iron out regulatory glitches, kickstart assured fuel supply, as well as revive and multiply investment into thermal and renewable power. But the task was easier said than done. The coal sector was mired in controversy and saddled with a multi-billion-dollar scam. And on 23rd September, the Apex Court's landmark verdict saw a blanket cancellation of all mining licenses, terming all government allocation of coal blocks in the past illegal and arbitrary. The government seized this opportunity to start afresh. The centre carried out the first ever auction of black coal reserves. 34 blocks under the hammer to private companies, over 30 blocks allotted to public sector companies, and the coal block auction raked in over 3 lakh crore rupees towards state governments' revenues in just the first 3 rounds. But fuel security is just one piece of the puzzle for the centre. The real benefit will accrue when this begins to feed starving power plants.
Of legacy issues, they have not been solved. Today also we have generating assets stranded for want of buyers. It's about 10,000 megawatt of capacity and the 20,000 coming up in next 2 years, and no PPAs.
Meanwhile, the centre is also reworking bidding norms and regulatory approvals for ultra-mega power projects of over 4,000 megawatt generation capacity, and 6 such projects are expected to come up this fiscal. Goyal has also lined up an ambitious target of 1,75,000 megawatt of affordable clean electricity capacity addition by 2022. Considerable foreign investment into solar, hydro and wind power is being estimated to facilitate this. This past year has been all about identifying and plugging the loopholes, but the actual turnaround in industry sentiment, which will ensure the 24/7 power to all is reality, is far from over. The centre has made the right noises when it comes to generation, fuel assurance and reviving stalled projects. After all, they do realize that power is the most crucial piece of the infrastructure pie. A solid beginning has been made, but the lines of transmission run very long. Nitya Balakrishnan, ET Now, New Delhi.
And let's keep it with our special Modi 365 segment. And of course, today we're going to put the spotlight on the ease of doing business. And a special guest is joining in for just that. We've got CII President, Mr. Mazumdar, right here. Mr. Mazumdar, good evening. Thanks so much for taking time out for us. Let's begin by understanding what you've made of the government's efforts towards the ease of doing business. You know, the Prime Minister had ambitiously promised to take India to number 50 from a dismal 142 in that list. Where are we as far as that journey goes, you think?
You know, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you on your channel. We have come a long way on the journey, but of course, nowhere near 50. I do believe that to touch 50 is very ambitious. If we need to do it in incremental amounts, maybe 10, 20, 30 at a time. I would say we've made a lot of progress on the ease of doing business, but the ease of doing business is not a matter of 100 points or 150 points or 200 points. It's a whole process. It's a whole mindset, and that is going to take time. Any change is, resisted, so it will take its time, but we are making progress, definitely.
Let's look at some of the things that they've done, Mr. Mazumdar. You know, they've launched an e-biz portal to offer 13 government services. They've deregulated some industrial licenses over the past 1 year. Have steps like these made it easy to do business in India, you think?
It has changed to an extent, but not to the extent that we would like to see. We see progress happening over there, but I do believe that there are some ways to go still. You know, just to give you a very simple example, a lot of forms have already been simplified and reduced in number of pages, made it much more simpler to use. There's been a lot of discussions with the people who are in charge of implementing it to be more user-friendly in their approach. So there is a lot of action that has taken place, but definitely not where we'd like to see it happen. But that's going to take a little while, as I just said.
Taking discretion away was really at the core of trying to improve the ease of doing business. While sure, the coal auction is something that the industry is really welcomed. How much is the government, you think, moved to try and end discretion otherwise? And also, is it, feasible to sort of end it significantly in the system?
It's got to be done in stages. And your own example, the coal auction, was a classic example where discretion was totally taken out. And it was purely a case of bidding. But this is a process, as I keep telling you, and you can't lump everything together and do it together. So it's being done gradually, and we have to bear it out, and as long as we know the end result is there, or is on its way, we should be patient and we should take it as it comes.
We let you go, Mr. Mazumdar. A large part of this whole talk of ease of doing business has to do with taxes. For a government that had promised to end tax terror, does this entire MAT controversy prove that there is still a huge disconnect between what the political leadership says and what actually transpires on the ground?
Okay, let me talk about the MAT issue. The MAT issue, they have said that it would not apply starting from 15-16. They never said it wouldn't apply in the earlier years. So that is why they did levy what was rightfully due. But that seemed to have created a lot of confusion, and people interpreted it as a retrospective effect on tax. And just to avoid this confusion, they said, okay, let's hold it and let the courts decide, and whatever the courts decide, we will abide by it. And I believe that was a very mature and sensible way of handling that. As far as GST is concerned, the way the Parliament works or the Rajya Sabha works, you can't help it. But I do believe that most parties, at least most of the states, are on board, and that GST should happen, and we should see it in the near future, because GST, everyone acknowledges, will make ease of doing business to a very great extent. There's multiple layers of taxes will go. There's different taxes by different states will go. And also, once the GST comes in force, we believe it will add about 1 to 1.5% to the GDP growth. So it's an all-round winner for everybody. And I do believe that, in the course of things, the GST will get through.
All right, Mr. Majumdar, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for sparing time for us this evening.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. Thank you.